Okay, welcome to the stream. So, in today's stream, we are going to look at data analysis and most of the powerful things you can do with data analysis. Without wasting time, let's go into what we have for today. So, the question arises, what is data? So, different people may have different answers for that same question. What is data analysis? But I'm going to point you to some very, very essential concepts that you need to know about data analysis. According to Wikipedia, data analysis is a process of inspecting, cleansing, and modeling data. Now, take note of those key words. We have inspecting, we have cleansing, we have transforming, and modeling data. And why do we model our data? So the goal of modeling your data is to discover useful information, conclusion that will be supporting a decision making. So data analysis is a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information, informing conclusion, and supporting decision making. Now, another definition of data analysis is that data analysis is also a process of inspecting, cleansing, so transforming. So, and when you look at this concept, you discover that the most important thing here is the last part, which is informing conclusion and supporting decision making. So if there is one word you can go with, you can say that data analysis is a process of using data to support decision making. And from the first definition, look at the three things I laid emphasis on: inspecting, cleansing, transforming. Then in the next slide, this is the next thing I'm laying emphasis on: modeling data. Modeling data is more like saying making the data to appear the way you want it to be, or the data to appear in a form that can help you to make decision with that data. And you have discovering useful information. Now, data in its raw form cannot really give you the information that you need. Like if you just maybe scrap a bunch of data from the internet, it does not really make any meaning until you are able to discover useful information in that data. And the concluding part is supporting decision making. If you are not able to take this your skill as a data analyst to a point that the information you extract from your data can support decision making, then you are not a good data analyst. You have not actually extracted that 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 concept. How do I put it now? You have not actually extracted that power which comes with the insight in the data analysis process. And when we talk about data analysis, there are some key elements to consider. There are some tools. It's just like saying if you are a farmer, you will need to have a hoe, or you have a cutlass and several to be able to carry carry out that farming process effectively and efficiently. So as a data analyst, you don't just use your hands or just your intuition to do everything, or should I, you need specific tools. Now when you talk about tools in data analysis, here are the things that I want you to consider. Now, tools can be subdivided categories. We have the auto-managed tools and we have programming languages. I think this place is worth making a little emphasis because some people are often confused by tools and the skill as of a data analyst. So I've had a situation where several people think data analysis is had situations where people think data analysis is SQL, but data analysis is not Python, data analysis is not SQL, data analysis is not Excel. All those things are tools that you need to carry out your so in the auto-managed tools, we have something like QLink, we have Tableau, we have Looker. There are several of them that I've not included here, something like Power BI, Microsoft Excel, and the list continues. And we have this other session, which you have Python, you have R, we have Julia, SQL is one of them. But let me say this. Now, pay close attention. Let me say this. You can use any of these two independently to carry out your data analysis. Let me repeat. You can use any of these two to carry out your data analysis. You can use Excel to do everything about data analysis. You can use Power BI to do everything about data analysis. You can use Python to do everything. If you are good in your database query language, you can use SQL to do everything about data analysis. But here is the catch. That you can use either of these two to carry out your work does not mean you should just choose any of the two at random. Each of the two have, should I say, illnesses. For instance, when you talk about something like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Excel is going to empower you with the ability to be able to quickly look into your data. The ability to quickly look into your data, and you can carry out quickly with Microsoft Excel. But when it has to do with you doing a complex analysis, that is where Python as a programming language comes in. That is where R as a programming language comes in. And that is where Julia as a programming language. I believe that a lot of you might have known about Python, but just a handful of people will know Julia, some people will know R. You can use any of these languages. Any of them can serve the purpose, but I always recommend starting with Python, especially if you're a beginner, because the language it comes with something I call capsule of libraries, things that are pre-built that are going to make your work efficient and fast without you having to write all the code from scratch. All right. So you have the auto-managed tools like tools that have already been built. Then you have programming language. Now let us look at the two together. So auto-managed applications or tools, they are closed source. What does this mean? It means that they have already been built. So they define the rules and how you are to use them. Then you have most of the tools are expensive. Some of the tools you need to have a pro version before you can use some features. Some of them you can't even access until you pay for the app. Then they are limited, but this is where it becomes a little bit fun. They are easy to learn and also implement. But when you talk about programming languages by its nature are open source, which means you can get it for free and drop it. All right. Okay. If you have any question or you have any comment, please drop it on the comments below. I'm going to try as much as possible to attend to all. Watching this as a rebroadcast and you have any concern or anything that you want me. So why we choose Python over R or Julia is that number one, it is simple and okay, so has a lot of libraries that are already there for you to use. You don't have to write anything from scratch, and it is free and open source. And the most fun part of Python is the community. The community is great. The community, they are very, very active and they are just willing to help. Just drop, you can try join any Python community and drop any problem or challenge you may have. You just see that someone is going to pop up within just a few minutes and give you a solution to that problem. So but let's look at, when do you choose R? So R is mainly used for statistical analysis. Now take note, Python is used for any kind of data analysis, but um, R has, should I say, it has this bias towards statistics because of the way the language was built. So the language was built to support a lot of statistical implementation, statistical method. So, but either way, um, when you need extreme performance in terms of statistics, that's where you go with R. So let's briefly look at the data analysis process. In the data analysis process, we have the extraction, we have the cleansing, we have data wrangling, and we have the analysis, which is going to lead to the action. Now I'm going to briefly go through this and we see how to proceed from there. All right, so in data extraction has to do mainly with data gathering. Okay, so if you are given a task by a company to come and do an analysis on their project, you likely have to use SQL, because with SQL you can interact directly with the database. But if they have extracted the data for you, so that is where you have different file formats like CSV file, which stands for comma separated values. We have JSON, which stands for JavaScript object notation. We have XML, which stands for extended markup language or extensible markup language. So you can get your data in any of these files. It can be exported from your database. But there is another popular method of getting your data, and that is via scraping the internet. So you can scrape the internet to get your data for your analysis. And the interesting thing about big companies is that they have APIs. So a company like Facebook YouTube, Twitter, all of them, they have API that they can give to a developer to interact with their data. But the thing is that the API will be somehow limited. They are going to give you access and define that access for you. They will tell you the maximum query you can make on the website, the maximum amount of data you'll be able to extract. So, but you can also buy data. Maybe if the data set, I've worked with a number of projects where I couldn't have access to the data. So the only option that was left for me was to actually pay for a data set. So there are options like that where you may need to pay for a data set. The second part of the data analysis process is data cleansing. And I want you to know that as a data analyst, you understand by default, data mostly come in an unformatted format, if I may put it that way, a format that is not well structured. So you may have to do a bunch of things like looking at how to take care of missing values or empty data. You may data manipulation to maybe include some things like when you have a data column like date, you can break down date into sub-components like weeks, months, days, etc., seasons. So that is an example of manipulating your data. You can fix incorrect or invalid values. So you can look at, for instance, a data point that is supposed to be something like 50, and maybe someone wrote that 50 in quotes, making that 50 to turn to a string that is a character instead of a number. So you may look at how to take care of that. So you may have outliers or invalid data, something like maybe you are dealing with a data set where the highest value is ranging between 70 and 90, and you now come and have another person that has a data point of 8,000 or 800. You know that's an outlier. So it's either there was a mistake or so you have your statistical sanitization, where you may have to apply some statistical method to form the data. So we have data wangling. So data wangling has to do with